What's going on, you guys? Mr. Grail here, and today I want to go over the top 10 Scarlet and Violet cards I feel are going to define the era. Now, obviously, we're going to have cards in there that we expect, and we're going to have cards that we don't expect. So if you have a different opinion for my list, hey, comment down in the comment section below, and also please like and subscribe as I want to continue to make this content for you guys. I really think this is going to be a fun list. Scarlet and Violet is not over yet. There's still some mini hype sets coming out. I mean, you got Journey Together next week, and we have Destined Rivals coming out. And I'm sure Pokemon has other plans before they end Scarlet and Violet. And then we have the 30th anniversary coming up. So we don't know if that's going to end Scarlet and Violet or not. But we do know that there's a lot still to happen in Scarlet and Violet. So that, of course, this is early. I will want to do this again when Scarlet and Violet ends. But like I said, it's totally opinion. So let's see what we got. Let's compare our list together. Now at number 10, I have a tie. It's between the Squirtle and the Bulbasaur from Stellar Crown. Now these two cards together have been carrying Stellar Crown. I know we have the Terapagos in there, which a great hit. It's a beautiful card. But at the end of the day, everyone resonates with Squirtle and Bulbasaur as they were two of the three starters in first gen. And also, they never really had been the biggest bangers in a set before. I mean, yeah, they're great cards to go after, but they've always been overshadowed by their Blastoise or their Venusaur counterparts. But now it's just them in this set, and it is helping this flourish. And honestly, they're just great illustration rares. I love the one with Squirtle just over there with the Pidgeys in there. And then you have just Bulbasaur looking like he's having a good lunch, right? But it's just such a good card. Both of them are. And I think they're both going to define the era because one, they're Gen 1 Pokemon, and two, they're both the top hits in a set, finally. They're not overshadowed by anything. I don't even think the Terapagos compares to them. I think these will be cards that are going to be looked at in the Scarlet and Violet era and be iconic for years to come. All right, starting at number 9, it's going to be for Surging Sparks. And as we know, Surging Sparks is such an anticipated set. It's been so good. It's probably the most expensive booster box that we've seen as far as from start to finish. It just keeps going up, even with reprinting news. But the cards in it are loaded, and there's a reason why this booster box is so expensive. And we're starting at number 9 with the Latias EX special illustration card. And if you look at it, it's just beautiful. You have Latias just flying in the sky. And man, Scarlet Violet has done so well with these special illustration rares. It's crazy. And the fact is, this card is just iconic. And also, the Pokemon is really loved. I mean, if you think about it from Team Up. Team Up, you had the Latios and the Latias Tag Team card. Just recently, the PSA 10 went for $5,000. So we know that this card has a buyer market, and we know that it's a loved Pokemon as well, which is why I think it's going to do well for the Scarlet and Violet era. And I do think that it's going to be a hard card to grade and pull in the future. Now, of course, there's a lot of news like how much Surging Sparks are we going to get in the future? How much Latias are we going to get in the future? We don't know. But right now, it seems like a tough card to get, and it's a beautiful card to grade a 10, and it's just a beautiful card to have in your collection. I do think that there will eventually be a high population of this card. That doesn't mean it's not going to define the era. It's a beautiful card. It's an iconic Pokemon. There's no reason why it should not be in the top 10. All right, guys, at number 8, we have the Pikachu Van Gogh card. Now, we do know one thing. Promo cards, especially with Pikachu, do very well. And this Van Gogh collab has not disappointed at all. But the only problem I have with this card is that it is not rare at all on a 10. But yet it's going for $700 at times. I think it's getting down to $600 now, but there are times it's going for $800, $900. Now, I would not pay that for this card. That does not mean it's not going to be a very sought after card. If you go to any kind of shows, or if you go to an LGS and you see that card there, you have to buy it. You have to buy it right there and then. Because if you go back the next day, it's gone. It has so much liquidity. Everyone loves Pikachu. Everyone loves the card. And honestly, who doesn't know Van Gogh, right? One of the famous painters of all time, or artists, shall I say, sorry. But really, this card is going to define the era because one is Pikachu, and two, it's one of the most sought after cards in Scarlet and Violet. Everyone knows this card, everyone wants this card, everyone grades this card, and everyone wants a 10. It's not a hard card to find in a 10, but the fact is, it is going to be known as one of the best cards that you can get in the Scarlet and Violet era, and people are going to want it for years to come. At number 7, this is going to be one that I feel like I'm going to get a lot of criticism for because everyone's going to feel like this card should be higher. I do believe that there's too much uncertainty, but obviously the Pokemon itself, there's nothing uncertain about it. And that's going to be the Greninja EX Special Illustration Rare from Twilight Masquerade. Now, this booster box, this set has just been straight short printed. There's not enough to go around. Even with the reprint news, there are pretty much rumors going on that there's not going to be that big of a reprint, which is great for this card because think about it, there's only about 5,000 PSA 10s in this Greninja right now, which is great because we don't really want cards with a bunch of high pops. But at the end of the day, if it has liquidity, does it really matter? But this card, there's just too much unknown right now about how much Pokemon's gonna deal with Twilight Masquerade down the line. If it's just one of those sets that Pokemon just decides to kind of move on from and just leave it as it is, Twilight Masquerade is gonna boom in price, and the Greninja's gonna go with it. And because of that, the Greninja's gonna go up the list in our next updated list rankings, right? But right now, I feel like there's too much uncertainty, and I do feel like this card, there can be a lot of them out there. I do believe with rip and ship culture too, and the more that we get of these, we're going to see more of these Greninjas come in. And and it does grade pretty high already. Like there's a high population of this, there's a high PSA 10 population of this card. So I do believe that there's going to be a lot of these down the line. But Greninja is iconic, especially to the people who started watching Pokemon in 6th gen. It's some people's Charizard these days. So Greninja's always gonna have a fan base. You could probably put it in the top 15 most favorite Pokemon of all time. But right now, I just feel like there's so many cards that are above it and harder to get, and also less uncertainty. But it does not mean that this card is not amazing. It does not mean you should not add this to the collection, and it does not mean it will not define this era, because it will. And honestly, it may be higher down the line, but right now, I gotta keep it at 7. All right, now to the one that I'm probably gonna get grilled for the most. And at number 6, I have the Drowsy illustration rare from the Scarlet and Violet base set. Now, obviously this card, the reason why it's rose in value is because people are pretty much buying it out and it's pumping up the price big time. That doesn't take away from the fact that it's a beautiful card. I think for a long time, the reason why this card was cheap is because, well, at first it came out in the beginning of Scarlet and Violet. People probably thought that it wasn't that great of a card. They probably thought there was going to be so many better cards in the future because Scarlet and Violet had just started. But now we're starting to see that we're at the tail end of Scarlet and Violet, and this Drowsy is still a beautiful card. To some people it's ugly. I think it's really, really nice. I think there's a lot going on with it. And Drowsy's a Gen 1 Pokemon. Now, why do I feel like it's going to define the era? At number 6 especially. Because of the fact that it's one of the hardest cards to grade, and it is so rare in a PSA 10 that it's hen's teeth, pretty much. Like, there's not many out there. There's a reason why this card raw sells for $30, and then the PSA 10 goes for upwards of $700 to $800. You can't find this in a 10 very often. It's hard. You go on eBay, people are selling it for thousands of dollars because they know that they can sell it for whatever they want because there's not many around. There's not much competition. There's a reason why this Drowsy belongs here. Is because when Scarlet and Violet is said and done, and they're like, what was in the base set? Oh, there's not many of these Drowsies around. I think I want that card. I do believe that Drowsy is going to have a say in this era. Now, is Drowsy one of the most loved Pokemon? Not really. Who doesn't know Drowsy? Everyone knows Drowsy. That's 1. And 2, it has a card that's hard to grade in PSA 10, so people are going to want it, right? Because what raises Pokemon cards? Rarity and scarcity, and also the value, right? They're going to see that, oh, this card is valuable. It's worth investing in. That's why I think that this Drowsy is going to help. And it started off the Scarlet and Violet era, which only puts icing on the cake for this card, as it will be one of the best cards to define the Scarlet and Violet era. And at number 5, I have the Bubble Mew. Now, there's one thing I will say. Any card that has a nickname does well in the Scarlet and Violet era, especially with Bubble Mew being the top hit of the Paldean Fates TB boxes and also booster bundles as well. This card has really, really gained popularity. Well, one, Mew is just popular. There's not one person who's in Pokemon that's not a scalper and is doing this for no reason, but people who actually love Pokemon who don't know Mew. And whenever you see a Mew in a set, it's going to help define an era, especially in Scarlet and Violet. And it's a beautiful card if you look at it. Like, it's one of the best Mews I've ever seen, one of the best artworks. This card now is going raw for pretty much $400. Now, it could be a little inflated. Yeah. Could there be reprints of Paldean Fates? We're talking about the card. This card is going to have so much liquidity down the line. It's going to be wanted by so many people. I've tried to trade for this card and nobody wants to budge on it. They want straight cash or they want so much in compensation. This is going to be a sought after card for so many years to come, and it's always going to define this era because 1, it's iconic, And 2, it has that nickname that everyone's going to know for years to come. Now at number 4, here's another card that can eventually be a top 2 or even the best card of the era. But right now, just because the uncertainty of reprints and also how many are actually going to be out there when it's all said and done, I'm going to go with the Pikachu EX Special Illustration Rare from Surging Sparks. This card, everyone thought that it was going to crash because like, you can't hold a $450 raw card for that long. You seems like you can. So this Pikachu is most definitely popping off. Even in a PSA 10 already, it's $1,000, and this is a fairly young set. I mean, the newest set only behind it is Prismatic Evolutions, right? So this is very new, but it doesn't matter. Surging Sparks is going up constantly every single day. Even with the rumors of reprints, these boxes are still selling at $250, $260. I've even seen sales at $275. And this card is not falling very much. I think I saw it fall as low as $430. Oh well, right? Especially when its high was $500. This card isn't going anywhere. And Pikachu is a fan favorite. Everyone knows him. There's so many Pikachus in every single set that do well. And Scarlet and Violet really did well by making this card an amazing, amazing hit, especially in this era. Now, the only thing I do fear about this card, and which is why I have it at number 4, is because it does have the Rainbow Pikachu VMAX vibes from Vivid Voltage. Now, obviously, Vivid Voltage, it looked like it was going to be a good set, but when you saw the rest of Sword and Shield, it wasn't that great of a set. Surging Sparks, we know for sure is going to be one of the top sets. That's what has this Pikachu doing very, very well. But we also don't know how many there are going to be in the future. We also don't know how well this card is going to compare to the rest of the cards once Scarlet and Violet finishes. But as of right now, being a top 4 card is not a bad thing. So that's why I have Pikachu at number 4. And honestly, when it's all said and done, it might be a top 2 card. All right, and at number 3, for all the Gen 1 lovers, coming from the 151 set, probably the best set in the whole Scarlet and Violet era, you have the Charizard. Now, the reason why the Charizard's at number 3 instead of number 1 is because of the fact that it's not hard to find, it's not hard to pull. There have been so many of these cards graded into PSA. I believe upwards of 50,000 have been sent, which means that this card is not hard to pull. But then again, there was so much 151 back in the day, right? There was so much 151, but this Charizard still to this day, man. PSA 10 or not, it has so much liquidity. Everyone wants it. They're willing to trade up for it. It sells off the shelves, and like, honestly, I've seen it at so many LGSs and it sells within a day, regardless if it was $600 or if it was $1,200. It doesn't matter to people. People love this card. And like I said, nicknames do well. The Sun Charizard, right? Or the Sunzard, people want to call it. I mean, it's just a beautiful card. You see the Charizard flying in the air with the sun. I mean, it's a beautiful card. I had the honor of owning it. I did trade it for some sealeds, but because I just feel like sealeds better when it comes to investment, but that does not mean that this card is not going to skyrocket down the line. The reason why I think the fluctuation is there is because so many people do not know about 151. Is there going to be any more coming out? How many more Blooming Waters is out? How many more booster bundles are going to come out? Are we done? Right? We could possibly be done, and this card's going to skyrocket. Even though there's 13,000 PSA 10s out there, I mean, we see with Umbreon, right? There's 15, maybe 16,000 PSA 10 of those, but yet it's still defining the era, right? It's still a sought after card. It's still selling for high prices, high margins. So sometimes it just really doesn't matter. But that's why I have this card at number 3, is because it's not as hard to get. And I do feel just because it's Charizard, it's going to have a place as a card that will define the Scarlet and Violet era. All right, at number 2, and this might be number 1 when it's all said and done, because of its record prices and the fact that it's just the hottest Pokemon on Earth right now, and that is going to be the Umbreon Special Illustration Rare, or should we call it the Sunbreon now, from Prismatic Evolutions. Now, this card, there's too much uncertainty. It seems like it should be a lock at number 1, but because Prismatic is so new, like I said, there's been no new set yet. I mean, Journey Together is coming out next week. As of right now, Prismatic is still the newest sets. As of now, this card is just going at insane inflated prices. $1,600 for a raw, and who knows for a PSA 10, because there's not much data as far as how many there are in a PSA 10 right now. 1, because it's hard to pull, and 2, because it's a new set. It's still a new set. And also, what's making it kind of rough right now is because, well, they're not printing enough, right? There's not enough prismatic to go around, and everyone's ripping and shipping. And honestly, you can't find these very often right now. ETBs, good luck finding prismatic anywhere. But the fact is, this card, because it's Umbreon, because it's probably the most hyped set's top card, it's gonna define this era big time. Now, it's gonna be number one. Who knows? It might even drop. It might be a solid number one when it's all said and done. Because like I said, we still have Destined Rivals, which who knows? I don't know if Journey Together is gonna have a card that could really compete with this card. Destined Rivals, we'll see. But I do believe that because it's Umbreon, because it has a nickname, because it's a hard pull, because it's the top card and the most hyped set of arguably all time, that's why it's going to be one of the top hitters, and that will be one of the main cards that will define this era. But I only have one card ahead of it. You might not agree with me, but who cares, right?
One, go.
All right, and at number one, I have the Paldea Evolved Best Hit, Magikarp. Now, who would have thought Magikarp would ever define an era? But it's probably the most sought after card in Scarlet and Violet right now. Reason why is because finding a PSA 10 in this, like I told you guys about Drowsy, is extremely hard. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that Charizard is more popular. I understand that Umbreon is more popular. I understand that Pikachu is more popular. Greninja is more popular. All these cards are more popular than Magikarp, but there is a fan base for Magikarp out there. And there have been fans that have been wanting Magikarp to be a top hit for so long in a set, and now it has it. And here's the thing about it. There is a very low chance if you get this card, you're getting a PSA 10. That's what really takes this card to the next level. Raw, this card goes for $280. PSA 10, we're talking about 1.5 thousand, right? Talking about $1,500 because it is so hard. It is one of those PSA 10 cards that has a 20% PSA 10 rate. That is incredible. That just skyrockets this card. And on top of that, the artwork is amazing, and it has one of the best artists known right now making this card, which puts a premium on it, because we all know we love that Giratina, right, from Lost Origin. Same artist. It's going to be one of these cards that are going to define the era. It's going to be probably one of the best cards out of the era that everyone's going to want and remember. That is why I feel like this is going to be the number one card. Now, will it be passed? We'll see when we do an updated list. And arguably, I might be a little biased on this, but this is my Grail. This is the card I want more than anything. So if you have it, message me, please. But with that being said, guys, that is my list. That is my top 10 cards that will define the Scarlet and Violet era. Like I said, we'll make an updated list. And also, if you have a different opinion, please comment down in the comment section below. If you really enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And also, if you wanted to know the card that's going to be doing very, very well in the future for Sword and Shield, please watch this video right here. Thank you so much for just watching my video, you guys. Have a great day, and bye-bye.